Indeed, 9/11. And military man and now Congressman Mike Waltz joining us to talk about it live this morning on WNDB. Good morning, Congressman. And as one who served overseas for your nation before serving in Congress, a special thanks to you for your service to our nation. How are we remembering 9/11 in this COVID period today?
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Always a solemn day and a bit of a tough day, and just changed so many lives. Certainly changed mine. And launched America's response and taking down the Taliban regime in Afghanistan. And we just can't. I think we just cannot take for granted the fact that we haven't had another major 9/11 since then, from all of our men and women overseas to our law enforcement and intelligence professionals. But we also can't lose sight of the fact that Islamic extremism still exists. Al-Qaeda is still out there. ISIS is there, and they will attack again if we give them the opportunity. So today we have the president is awarding the Medal of Honor to an Army Special Forces Sergeant Major Payne for his actions in fighting ISIS and rescuing over 70 Kurdish prisoners. So that's really going to be tremendous. And I'll be actually on the Capitol steps today for a moment of silence. And we can't lose sight of the fact that also the flight that ended up crashing in Pennsylvania because of some heroic passengers, after learning what had happened to the towers and the Pentagon, took on the terrorist hijackers. Sadly, the flight crashed, but they were determined to not be part of another suicide attack that many believe were aimed for the very Capitol they'll be standing in today. Finally, Mark, I was at the Virginia Military Institute yesterday with the vice presidents, my alma mater. What an honor. Mm-hmm. But it struck both of us that the entire Corps of Cadets, these are future officers of the military, none of them remember 9/11. And I think we have to all collectively keep telling those stories of those heroes to future generations.
I believe you have an op-ed in the News Journal today, by the way, on 9/11 and the Green Berets, I think. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's right. And I talked personally about two of the Green Berets that I lost, Brian Woods and Matt Pacino, and their heroism. One had premonitions of his death to the point that he wrote voluminous letters to his family, yet he was still leading the charge, and the other one was volunteering to be on point. Those are the kind of heroes we need to be celebrating as a country, along with the Medal of Honor winner that we'll celebrate today. And I want everyone to understand and to know those stories. Because again, those are, the old adage of my heroes wear camouflage, not capes. That I just feel very, very strongly about it.
The pivoting to the defense authorization bill, from what I understand, there's been a delay. What's going on, sir?
Well, it's politics at its worst, Mark. I mean, I'll just be blunt about it. We have to have this authorization bill before the end of the federal government's fiscal year, September 30th, or the military runs out of money. I think what we'll do is called a continuing resolution, where they just kick the can. They hit reset and they give them the same amount of money as they had before. But what it means is they're not authorized to do anything new. No new ships or submarines or planes or programs on artificial intelligence, things that deal with the latest advances with China or Islamic extremism. They can't do anything new. It is really, really difficult for our men and women in uniform and the Pentagon to do its future planning. I can tell you the Chinese, the Russians, the Iranians, they don't do their defense budget this way. So next week we're going to have things like Kamala Harris's legalized marijuana bill. We'll be voting on things next week, but what we won't be voting on is the defense bill. And apparently Speaker Pelosi's made the decision to kick the can until after the election. And I think that's really unfortunate.
Congressman, I wanted to get your take on a new poll that shows that Americans have lost a lot of confidence in the CDC. And this comes in light of another statement made that the CDC and NIH said we won't be rushed to make a COVID-19 vaccine in time for the election. I don't hear I hear the president saying it could be coming very soon, but I don't think he's the driving force. Everybody is in a mad rush, it seems, to be the first out of the gate with something that works. But in light of all of the side effects, they can't rush this thing. But is that why Americans seem to be losing confidence in the CDC?
Well, I think it's a couple of reasons. We have to hold organizations and these folks accountable. On the I think on the left, they're constantly pounding on the president to listen to the experts. The experts haven't gotten all of this right. I mean, they've really botched getting a COVID test out the gate in January and February, because they refused to enlist the private sector and try to develop one on their own. And it was, it had some bad agents in it. So, that's one piece. At first it was don't wear a mask, then it was wear a mask. I don't want to completely besmirch the organization, but we need to hold them accountable for the mistakes that they've made. And I think that's caused a loss of confidence. At the end of the day, I am confident, though, that we've learned a lot about this virus and that we will get a safe vaccine, and then we're going to get one out in record time. But that is because the Operation Warp Speed has enlisted the best and the brightest of the private sector and the scientific community to get this thing moving, and they've set aside the kind of bureaucratic red tape where it makes sense. So from what I've seen so far, Mark, I'm confident that we will get a safe vaccine out in record time.
Okay, and if you don't mind, forgive me for going back to the reauthorization bill for defense. Sure. I thought of something I really needed to ask you. The timing for this delay is horrible because our enemies watch what's going on in this country all
Absolutely.
The time. And I'm thinking about your report and discussion about aggressive testing by the Russians close to Alaska, how the Chinese have attempted to put their thumb in the eye of U.S. foreign policy with their aggression and testing in the South China Sea. This is not a good move by this delay, because it sends a signal that we're kind of vulnerable. It may not be true, but it sends a signal. Your thoughts?
Well, no, I 100% agree. And when it comes to the men and women that are out there, we have military members in 60 to 80 countries in any given day, and they deserve better. They deserve better from Washington, D.C. It's one of the reasons I ran for office. So my response is I 200% agree. But I want one other thing. What Islamic extremists, Al Qaeda and others are also watching. As we defund our police departments. The New York Police Department has one of the best anti-terrorism units in the world. And de Blasio is now taking $1 billion out of their budget. So they're also watching what's going on in our cities. They will try to strike again. And, Mark, just final thing, I remember in the wake of 9/11, everyone was wearing New York Police Department hats, NYPD hats, fire department hats. And now we're seeing this shift where the police are kind of being, attacked and maligned. And I just want to say every opportunity I can, thank you to our first responders out there. I will never forget, and America should never forget, that they were rushing into the burning fires in the Twin Towers and the Pentagon. But, really, they're doing that every day. And that's it shouldn't take a 9/11 for us to recognize those heroes, what they're doing day in and day out. And I certainly want them to hear it from me, that how much I have their back and how much I appreciate them.
Congressman Mike Waltz joining us live today on this 9/11. Congressman, thanks so much. Be safe, and we'll talk to you next week.